Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this top, this peplum top that has a cape and a zipper in front. So I'm going to be cutting it on a pattern paper because someone sent it to me on Instagram as a suggested video. So I'm just going to be explaining it, but I'm going to also show you guys how to do it on a miniature fabric too. So you're just going to cut out, you're going to do yours directly on your fabric. Just like how we normally cut our fabric with a zip allowance, this is going to be my front pattern zip allowance because the zipper is in front, right? So this is what you're going to do here. I'm going to so the width of my fabric here is basically your bust, which is most times the widest part of your body, divided by 4. So the bust I'm working with here is 32, divided by 4 is 8. I added extra 1 inch to it, so here I have 9 inches for my pattern. But then for the front I added extra 1.5 on another fabric that is folded into 2 here. So this is going to be my zip allowance. You can use 1 inch for your zip allowance, you can use 1.5. So now we can go ahead and start inserting. You're just going to go ahead and insert your normal basic body. I'll be drawing it on my back pattern. Like I said, the smaller one is the back pattern because the zipper is in front. So this is our zipper for the front pattern. So now I'm going to insert my shoulder measurement. For the sake of this video, my shoulder measurement is 14, divided by 2 is going to be 7. But instead of using that, I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it and make it 6 because this is going to be a sleeveless. So I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it. So if you divide your shoulder measurement, whatever you get, subtract 1 inch from it, and then you're going to insert your armhole. My armhole divided by 2, let's say that is 18 here. Mark that here and then go up this way. So I'm just trying to draw my basic bodice pattern here all the way up, and then you're going to come down here, mark 1 inch from your shoulder slope, mark my neckline. If you look at the picture, you will see that the neckline is wider. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using 3 inches of neckline, I'm going to do 3.5. So I'm going to connect it this way. I'm going to connect it this way. And then the next thing is to mark my armhole, give it a curve here. You're going to insert your bust measurement divided by 4. For me, that's 32, divided by 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 1 inch of seam allowance is the plus 1 I added. Come down to your waist, and then I'm going to divide my waist. 28 divided by 4, that's 7, plus extra 2 inches is what you're going to do here. 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of seam allowance. Then you connect the 2 lines together all the way up to this point. So at this point now, you're going to go ahead, cut off the excess. But before that, I'm going to put in my dart. Your nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with is 8. Divided by 2, that's 4 inches. I'm going to mark that here. So this is my back dart. My back dart is going to come up all the way to my chest line, which is right on this line here. So I'm going to just mark it all the way to this point. Mark half an inch on each side, and then connect my dart. So I'm going to cut all the way from this shoulder slope, cut out my armhole this way, cut out the excess on the side. So guys, if you don't want the back neckline high up, you want it lower a little, you can do 1.5 or you can do 2 inches. It depends on you how you want the back neckline to be, but you can do 2 inches at the back neckline, and then you cut that out. And then for the front neckline, I'm also going to do about, so guys, you see how much I've cut it out. So I did 2 inches of depth for the back neckline, but for the front you can do 5 inches, and then from there you're going to give it a curve. So let's say I did about I'm going to try to do about 5.5 inches here, but it depends on you. Just measure from your shoulder to where you want it to be, and then you're going to mark it this way, just like how you normally mark your square, and then you're going to connect it this way, so that way you can get a perfect like curve this way. So now I'm going to cut this out. So guys, as you can see, my back neckline, I came down by 2 inches for the back neckline, and then for the front neckline I came down by 5 inches for the front neckline. And then this is my zipper allowance. So you see, I'm supposed to have 1 back panel, and then I have two front panels. which I'm still going to have my zip at the center here, so you see. But before that, remember to put in your dart. So to dart my front, all I have to do is, you see, I mark this line here just from where this line here is just from my center line. This is just to help me know where my zip allowance starts, right? So this line here, I made it when I made this, when this was still here. So all I have to do is just to mark out from this center line now to the same 4 inches I used, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is about 4 inches. I'm going to mark that here. And then from this point now, I'm going to mark my dart. So you remember your back dart went all the way up to your chest line, but in this one, my dart is going to stop 1 inch before my bust line. So let's say my bust is at 10 inches, my dart is going to stop at 11 inches. So I'm going to just connect it all the way up here. So guys, now all you have to do, you see I've connected my dart, is just to notch it so that you know that this is going to be on the same point on the other side. So I've notched it. I know that this dart is going to be replicated on this side also. So all I have to do is just to put in my dart on the 2 sides. Guys, this is going to be a sleeveless, right? So it's going to be a sleeveless. It's just the cape that is going to cover up the sleeve part. So this here is going to be a sleeveless top, but it has a cape and it has a peplum with a zip in the front. So all you have to do now is just to go ahead. I'm assuming you're cutting this directly on your fabric, right? Because like I said, I'm just using pattern paper because someone requested for the video. So I'm trying to explain it here. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and trace it on a smaller fabric just so I can be able to show you guys how to cut the rest of it. Here, like I said, you have one back panel. So this is it here, my back panel. And as you can see, I notched it here so that I can be able to transfer my dart all through the layers here. So this is my back panel here, one back panel and then 2 front panels with my zip allowance at the center here, which is going to go in this way and go in this way, right? So all I have to do now, so you see the same on the pattern paper, I have 2 of it here. You see my zip allowance on the 2 sides here. So now all I have to do is, you have to go ahead now and take this here, join the 2 shoulders together, right? So I'm going to join the shoulder together and then join this shoulder together. I'm going to be using bias for mine, so I'm going to just use the bias ahead of time and finish up the 2 armholes. And then I'll pick my dart and then I'll come back and show you guys how we are going to put in the collar and the zipper. So guys, as you can see, this is the back, this is the front. So all you have to do now is to take this here, the neckline that you have, what you're going to do is take it and spread it out on a fabric. So guys, once you spread it out this way, for the bigger fabric, I would use maybe 10 inches of cape. It depends on you what you want to use. You can use 10 inches or just measure from your shoulder and figure out the width of your cape. But remember, I'm making this in a smaller version, so I might use about 6 inches for that. So, but on an adult one, you can measure yourself and maybe use 10 inches. So guys, you see what I'm saying here? You have to measure yourself and figure out the length you want yours to be. So this, you can measure out and figure out from the neckline to how long you want. And as you can see, it's covering, it goes out all the way after the sleeve. It almost looks like it's the sleeve. And then you see it's sewn into the zipper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark out the neckline, spread out the opening of the neckline here, include even the zipper allowance because it's going to be sewn down into the zipper. So this is what it looks like right now. And then I'm going to mark out the end here and then the end on this side too. So you see, after that, I'm going to remove this. And then you're going to insert the measurement that you took. Let's say you took 5 inches. So you're going to measure this distance to this distance here. But don't forget, my 5 inches might include my seam allowance. So it depends on you, whatever you're using. Include that ½ inch of seam allowance to sew the end. So guys, as you can see, I've cut mine out. So now all I have to do is just to sew down the edges all the way around this way. Flip it inside out and iron it. So guys, as you can see, I've made a stitch all the way around. Now I'm going to just remove my pin because I cut 2 of these, right? So I'm going to flip it inside out now and iron it. So guys, all I have to do is to put this now on top of this here, making sure that the edge it goes up into the side of this part that is supposed to be the zip allowance. Everything is in line, and then I'm going to sew it down this way. So guys, now that I've sewn it down, you see the cape is attached to the body. You see it comes out even at the side of the sleeve. It's coming together nicely. So now what I'm going to do is get my bias. I'm going to get bias and sew it down on top of this one again. So I'm going to sew down my bias now. So guys, you see I've put in the bias. So I have 3 layers now: my cloth, the cape, this and this. And remember, you're going to place this cape in such a way that you know that the front is facing the front of this top. So now all I have to do is I'm going to take this bias now. I'm going to fold it in, but first you're going to cut it and release the tension. Just cut it this way and release the tension inside of this. So you're going to fold this bias now, right? But you're going to sew the seam underneath the cape, because you don't want the seam to be on top of this cape. So you see my bias is this way, right, on top of the neckline. This is what it looks like now. So all you have to do is you're going to fold this bias, but instead of sewing the bias on top of the cape going down, try to sew it behind, like raise the cape up and sew it underneath, so that this cape can cover your seam. So guys, at this point, this is what we are working with. I've closed up my side seam, finished up my bias. So you can see underneath this cape, you can see my seam. You can see the seam I used to join the bias to the neckline. So all I have to do now is to attach my peplum. So basically, remember, to cut your top, you're going to subtract your shoulder to your waist from the full length of the top, right? So let's say my shoulder to waist is 16. I've subtracted it from maybe my top length is 24. So what I have left for the bottom part of this peplum is going to be 8 inches. So 8 inches, I'm going to add about 1.5 inches to it, 1 inch for folding the end, and then half an inch for joining it to this peplum part, right? So now I'm going to attach, and then to figure out the amount of fabric, the width you will need for the fabric to join to this here, you might use ×2 of your waist measurement, or ×2.5, or times 2 will be a little bit of peplum if you don't want a lot. ×2.5 will be a little bit more, but ×3 will be a lot of peplum, like a lot of fabric for the bottom flay. So now I'm going to just pleat it at the bottom. Like I said, this is how you put your peplum, right? You fold it once, you fold one facing you, you fold another one facing the opposite direction, you fold another one facing you. Just like that, you get your pleat. So you see, just like that, you get your box pleat. So I already have a video on how to make box pleat, so I'm going to pleat it. Remember, we are still pleating even up to the opening of this here. So we are going to start at the very end of this our zip allowance. That's how we're going to start it. So guys, once you attach your peplum, you see my peplum is attached. You're going to fold the end of your cloth, the end of the peplum, so you know that everything is done before you now take your zipper. So you see, this is my zip now. The type of zip you're using for these guys is the one that separates into 2, right? So all I have to do now is to take this side here, fold away that 1 inch I kept for my zip allowance and everything. I'm going to take this zip here and place it this way, sew it on this side all the way down like this, right? Take the other side of the zip, fold this side away, tuck away that half an inch here, and then I'm going to sew it down this way. So just how you normally sew your zip, that's how you're going to do this here. So I'm going to take this here, sew it down this way. So once I'm done, I will have my jackets like this, right? So it's going to look something like this. So that's basically how you sew this. I hope this explains it to you guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.